Hey everybody, Craig Monroe here, editor of Elegant Literature. I'm here with Terra Patrick, the winner of the Fearless Friends contest. Welcome, Tara. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to have won and to have my story shared for one.
Yeah. How did you feel when you saw your name in the magazine with contest winner underneath it?
I literally screamed. Like my roommate had her younger sister over and she thought there was a fire because I just screamed. I didn't believe it. I like ran to my roommate's room and I was like, "Hey, look at this. Does this say what I think it says?" I had to scroll down to the bottom of the magazine to check like the judges' comments to make sure it wasn't a typo.
Make sure I wasn't talking about some other story and put the contest in.
Yeah, I was so shocked. I couldn't believe it, and I've still been in shock since then, honestly.
Well, I'm glad to hear that it's made you so happy. I hope so. You've been published with us. This is the fourth time you've been published with us now. Is that right?
Yeah, which is absolutely wild. Like, I've gone from having no published short stories, or at least I guess technically I had one when I was 12 in a school contest, but like doesn't count, right? And then when I started submitting to Elegant Literature back in, I guess, December, since then, four, like it's ridiculous. It's wild. I'm amazed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you definitely deserve it. Your stories are great. I've always enjoyed reading them.
Thank you.
And so varied too. Like you've had the Life Online, the one that's won this contest is about two friends. One's about to get mind uploaded, and it's kind of about their interactions. They've been best friends for a long time, right? But then the one before that was about the dog and the homeless guy, right? Just
Yeah,
very different feel.
completely varied. Life Online is actually a departure majorly from what I normally write. I usually kind of stay away from sci-fi just because like I find it very interesting and I love it conceptually, but I feel like it's difficult to pull off properly.
Yeah.
So, like I kind of took a risk with Life Online, and part of that was because I've seen you talking about how sci-fi is a big one of your things, and I wrote it for the contest. So I was like, I'm gonna try it out. Why not?
Yeah, well, not. I mean, it worked out for you for sure. And I thought it was really, really well done how you sort of had the science fiction elements, but you really kept it grounded in like the personal relationship between characters, which is kind of a big thing that I look for when I'm reading through the stories of the contest. Is there sort of that human element? Does it make me feel? Do I, because explosions and dinosaurs and whatever are great, but it's all about how people react to each other and the actual emotions in it. So really cool to see that. And then remind me, what were the if you remember offhand, what were the two original stories that were published before Life Online and Month?
That was The Final Bell in the Dire Days edition and Time Well Spent in Tricky Time.
Yeah, that's right. So quite a lineup, pretty exciting. And and obviously you've never been published anywhere else at this point or before this because you wouldn't be able to submit. Don't tell me now that you've been published a bunch of other places.
I'm hoping for a lot more after this, but this
Yeah,
is the
definitely.
resume.
How long have you been creative writing for?
For as long as I can remember, literally, like since I could hold a pencil. And
Yeah, well, I mean, you have the story in the school contest when you were 12, so that's certainly a long time. Were you routinely like submitting to places before Elegant Literature and just not finding success, or is this sort of a new venture in taking it seriously?
it was a new venture in submitting. I've always wanted to be a successful writer. It's what I want to do with my life. I want to sit in a cabin in the forest and churn out novel after novel. And I'll be there. But I hadn't really found any good places to submit to where the motivation, and I kind of just stumbled across Elegant Literature on Facebook one day. And it was actually for the Merry Magic contest, I think, which was the first one I entered. And I was like, screw it, why not? Uh, and I'm so happy I did.
Yeah.
It's kind of pushed me into a place now where I'm actually preparing other stories for submission to other places. I have a few like poems in. I actually got a poem acceptance on the same day I got the acceptance for Life Online.
Oh, fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So,
It's much smaller scale, but
yeah. So poetry, you do poetry as well then?
I do just about everything. I do essays, I do poetry, I do creative, I do articles, I'll write the back of shampoo bottles, you know, pretty much
Yeah, I think
whatever.
I remember I think I saw your profile on LinkedIn as you do copywriting is that right? Copywriting?
I'm trying to get into that and build sort of a freelance career. It's always been something that I'm kind of interested in. I had a few like I used to have some success with writing nonfiction. I used to competitively do public speaking and like
Competitively.
stuff.
What was
Yeah,
that like?
it was incredible and I loved it so much. I love being on a stage and performing. I it was actually you're an Ontario guy, right? Did you go to school there?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I grew up here.
Through the Royal Ontario Legion, their annual public speaking contests. I did
Oh, cool.
like 8 years or something. I also did the Remembrance Day contests. I got fourth in the province for an essay once, which was kind
Nice.
of. So it's just my writing has always been a way to express myself, a way to create, and a way to kind of stabilize and ground myself. So it's anything.
That's awesome. You're all about words.
Yeah.
Uh, do you have plans to write a novel or anything like that? I might have seen some things like that online. Yeah.
I usually had a couple months to rehearse and memorize when I did that.
Sure.
Although I guess there were a couple projects. I once had to do a Remembrance Day speech for my high school, and they didn't give me the script till the night before.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, I think I spoke in front of probably a total of 3,000 people that day across 3 performances. And it was a little nerve wracking, but it went okay.
That's it. Awesome. So I was asking, did I see somewhere that you are working on a novel or have plans to work on a novel?
I am currently working on multiple novels. I'm very good at starting novels. I'm not great at finishing them yet, but I'm hoping to get one out. Hopefully, I want to at least have an edited and revised draft done by the end of this year, and I think it's quite possible. I started on a new project this past week, actually, and I'm almost 20,000 words in.
I think you'd be able to finish by the end of the year for sure then.
Yeah.
You keep up that consistency, you're going to be done in a month.
The consistency is the issue for me. I'm not good with consistency when it comes to like amounts. Some days I'm writing 1,000 words, some days I'm writing 10.
Yeah, I saw that just the other day on Twitter that you wrote 10,000 words. Congratulations, by the way. That's big achievement. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine what it'd be like to write 10,000 words every day
I
for
honestly
a year?
myself to do it because that I can do 10,000 usually in maybe 7, 8 hours pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
So if I just were to actually force myself to sit at my computer,
Yeah.
write for a full-time job, it'd be
You have
getting.
a day job.
I don't right now. I'm in between jobs. Elegant literature actually partly kind of propelled me to leave my last job and focus on my writing.
Fantastic.
I was kind of not dealing with some great stuff at the last job, malfunctioning vacuums, and they refused to even fix them or take them out, and a bunch of bad stuff. But I wanted to really step into my writing, and I wanted to, actually say, I'm going to spend the time and work on this. And so with my free time, I've been, submitting to the magazine and preparing other stuff. And I think it's going to come together well.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. If your current success since you started submitting in December, it's been what now 8 months, and you've been published 4 times, won the contest. I mean, if you keep up this sort of momentum, I think you'll be going quite far. I just wanted to ask, when you left that last job, wanted to focus more on writing. Is that when you started the freelance copywriting, or is that sort of have been your career the whole time, or is that what
That's
you
what,
chose to go into to pay the bills now while you also write?
that's kind of why the freelance copywriting came up, but it's also just been an interest. I've got a couple projects that I'm working on that aren't paying out yet, but they're, business endeavors that I'm doing with family. And there's some copywriting already involved and things like that. So it just kind of felt like a natural and easy progression.
Yeah, sure, it makes
Yeah.
sense. Well, that's great. So you've been writing a long time. You've been starting to take it seriously more now, and now you've won the contest with Life Online. So what I want to know is a little bit about, where did Life Online come from? Like, what's your inspiration behind it? Did the characters come from people you know, or where did you pull the pieces all together from?
Life Online actually came to me in a kind of weird way. It was an incredibly last minute submission.
I think that's
Uh,
a trend with you. I'm pretty sure I've seen.
it
This work pressure to a deadline, and you kind
is,
of.
yeah, it seems to go well. I think actually the only non-last minute story that's been published of mine in elegant literature is Time Well Spent. Everything else was done in the last week. Um, yeah, but Life Online, so I was the whole month, I knew the prompt, and I was kind of thinking on it, but hadn't started writing. And I was thinking, how far can I push friendship? How far will you really go for someone you love? And then I was just, scrolling through news articles, and I actually was reading an article on the ethics of assisted suicide.
Okay.
And I was thinking, would you kill your friend if it was something that would help them truly? And I thought about it and I was like, well, I can't really make it so blatant, but what about a mind uploading story with the potential, it's, you don't know what's going to happen
Yeah,
when you
sure.
try out a new technology. So I thought that was a kind of interesting way to address just like a train of thought I had. I don't even know. I like to deal with heavier topics in my writing, and my goal always is to try to draw out emotion. I want to make people feel things, whether it's fear, sadness, like disgust, anything. I want those visceral, intense reactions. And I thought that this was a story that could really tug on some heartstrings.
Yeah, well, I mean, it did mine for sure. I was, and especially because the way you sort of twisted it ever so slightly and ever so subtly at the end, when you had the code in there that was like, don't turn off or you might lose the consciousness, or like be corrupted, which to me is almost worse. Like, it's one thing to have your friend die, but it's another to have like a half-life semblance of them that doesn't, it's not right, and it's messed up. And that would be even more traumatic, because then what are you going to do? Delete that,
And
or
it would be,
keep them
on
around?
Ken's conscience if that had happened, because
Yeah,
Ken
exactly.
there with, she's still got Isaac, she's still got her brother to take care of, and now she's got a dead friend. Like, it really added to the weight of
Yeah,
what doing. I
yeah,
didn't want it
definitely.
to be like you just plug in this USB and everything's
And you're
fine.
gonna like, because that's where the emotion, like, it wouldn't have the same emotional impact if it's just like, oh, like, we're super 100% confident in this procedure, like we've checked all the data. But no, it's like, and they haven't tested it on like a bunch of lab test subjects or anything coming through so that they're ready for them. It's they're the first guinea pig, right? And
Yeah.
that's scary, especially when it's someone you care so much about. And so, and then you also captured, I thought, the relationship between them really well. Like, they seemed very distinct people. They both had their sort of hopes and fears, and yet you could tell that they were obviously best friends. And then you also did, you managed to get so much, and I think I mentioned this in the comments that I made, that you managed to get so much of the world sort of captured in such a short amount of space, because it was 2,000 words, right? And you already had to dedicate a bunch of it to like explaining who they were and the present situation that they're in, and so you don't have a lot of space to work that rest of it in. I thought you did a really good job with that. Was that just sort of throwing in like science fiction apocalyptic tropes, or were you pulling those things from somewhere more real?
It was kind of my own frustration with the world. A lot of it was coming from, some things like the radioactive fog clouds are obviously a little bit more out there. But, like the ocean being on fire, that happened last year. Like
Yeah.
that's a reality. I'm putting it in my apocalyptic sci-fi, but that's actual reality. And I like to kind of be tongue in cheek with my writing a little bit, and I find it hard to separate myself from it completely. So I tend to put in some of my own like opinions a little bit and just perceptions.
Hmm.
That's where, I came up with the sarcastic sort of state of the world, even like the LIMP program was one
Yeah,
of my.
I thought that was pretty funny. How long did it take you to come up with the LIMP acronym to get it to be? Did you try and get it to be LIMP, or did you just kind of?
No, I literally I wrote low income medical pass and then the capitalized letters, and I was like, limp. Yeah, that's perfect.
It's perfect, like LIMP program. Like it's basically
Like,
limping along behind the rest of the medical society. Yeah.
exactly. It just felt so with this whole story, a lot of it felt so on the nose that it was almost ridiculous. I wanted to add, that little bit of humor aspect, like you have the polar bears losing their hair and the comments like that, and you have, Alyssa talking about how she might have swiped a chill pill or two or whatever. Like, I
Yeah.
want personality to come through in how she looks at the world around her, because that's really such an integral part of the story. It's about her being done with the world. It's about her not wanting to keep going with the way things are and wanting something better and trying to
Mhm.
create that for herself, no matter how risky it is.
Yeah. No, I think that came through definitely. And yeah, some of the language you use, like the ocean on fire, the oceans are on fire. I thought that was a metaphor. I didn't realize that actually happens. I mean, I know everything's been on fire, but I didn't realize that.
2021,
Surely it's not. You got to explain this to me and anybody else who hasn't heard of this. The water is actually on fire.
not currently. I believe it was put out. I think it was June of 2021 in the Gulf of Mexico. A gas pipe under the water burst and
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, yeah,
water
yeah.
was on fire. Like the
Right.
literal.
Yeah, it was on fire down there, and yeah, okay, I do remember that now. I was because I was just picturing like the surface being on fire. I was like, surely it's like an oil slick or the big garbage reef, whatever we have. Yeah, and so those were great. I really liked too how you sort of established almost like a time period for it, where because you without saying like, oh, in the year 2342 the LIMP program was shut down. It's like that's kind of obvious, but you said like pop me into anything with 7G. Well, we're on 5G right now, so we know it's quite near future, but maybe it takes a little bit longer to get there than we think because there's a billionaire son going to Saturn, which probably isn't that far away either. But you really kind of like this isn't hundreds of years from now. This is close enough that it could be us soon.
Yeah, that's, I wrote it as something I didn't want to definitively give a time, but I wanted it to feel close enough that it was a little bit worrying. You think about it and you think, is this what I'm going to be living in 20 years, or is this what my kids are going to be living in 50 years? We don't know, right?
Oh
And
yeah, no, we do not.
that's a big part of what I love about writing, is being able to explore those potential futures, as horrible as so many of them are. you
Mhm.
know they're interesting.
Yeah, definitely, and that's why we have a lot of apocalyptic stories all around us, and it's one of the reasons we have this. One of the reasons I had the first contest that we ran was Future Fears, was because I was very interested. I like that kind of stuff, and I wanted to see what everybody would come up with, especially because we were in the pretty middle of the pandemic then. I made the word mask. I was thinking Halloween mask, but everybody kind of went. A lot of people went with the COVID mask, and I got a lot of interesting stories about the end of the world and dire days. And then in every issue, I always have apocalyptic stories or stories that are taking place in like an almost apocalypse, like yours. Like
Like
there's no.
aspect of, what might happen, sort of. I've noticed that in elegant literature all throughout, and I love seeing it. It's one of my, yeah, the speculative element and the theme of sort of going darker in elegant literature. I've really enjoyed reading that because I tend to gravitate towards the darker subjects, and I love how open to interpretation all of the plots have been, or the prompts, sorry. Like there's so many directions you can go with the prompts you give. And that's, I think, a big part of the reason I kept submitting, because it wasn't, something super specific that I felt, I had to narrow myself into. I could totally go in opposite directions. I can be grounded in reality, talking about, life through a dog's eyes, being homeless, or I can be in a sci-fi realm, talking about decaying forests.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things. I mean, I really enjoy writing those prompts. Bit of a challenge sometimes because I'm kind of like, idea, like here's an idea, here's an idea. I'm trying to just like give as broad of an amount of ideas as I can through as many genres as possible, because basically my job with those prompts is to try and jog your imagination into a story. But because I'm open to all genres and I want to be publishing all genres, so we're open to all people, I'm doing my best to like jog the imagination of anybody that might want to submit and be reading it. So I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed them, and it was very interesting to see where your ideas kind of led you from that. So
Thank you.
yeah, great. What was I going to ask you? Do you have? Oh, we were talking about writing a novel. You were talking about your project is currently about 20,000 words in. Is there? Do you want to talk about that at all? You want to tell me about that project? Are you somebody that likes to talk it out, go through it, or you want to keep it very secret, hush hush until it's ready?
I will give a few little hints. It's called The Damned, and it's a speculative fiction horror creature comedy. It's a weird one. It's probably the closest thing to Life Online I've worked on as a longer project. It's not related, although I will say I actually have tied the worlds together. I have decided I want to do like little Easter eggs in my story, so I've put like the plastic with a K material into my new story.
Okay.
So I'm like tying the realities together. Just
yeah. All the multiverses are not the multiverses, but the connected universes are a huge thing now, and they're a lot of fun to do as well. Like I think everybody kind of has that desire to do it, and even small things, just like mentioning Plastic K will be something that once you publish 10-15 books and have a fan base, people are gonna like see that and go, wow, so cool. And if you just start laying them in now, it's
that's what I'm trying to do, and I think it's kind of fun. The Damned has been a really fun piece to write because I'm doing it in a strategy I've never tried before, and that's writing it absolutely horribly. I am trying to write the worst book possible and just go through the story, but I'm not worrying about my wording. I'm not letting myself even read more than 2 paragraphs up, because I'm trying to just get an incredibly rough first draft out. I don't have the story plotted or anything. I'm doing it completely organically.
wow.
So it's kind of an experimental piece, and I'm excited to see where it takes me.
That's exciting. I recommend very similar things. Although, I mean, like when with my students and how I teach it is I always recommend planning it out first, but it sounds like it's going to be really exciting for you to do that. And the act of just getting it out and just writing as fast as you can without self-censoring is really important, because also when a lot of writers do that and they go back and they reread to figure out where they are and they see the red squiggles and they catch like typos, they go, oh, I want to fix that sentence a little bit better. You're doing two things. Is you're working on sentences that no one's ever going to read. Like if you don't finish that or you cut that scene, which happens like 90% of the time to most authors, they're not going to read that. It's just a waste of your time. And also switching between writing and like writing is very creative. when you're going forward and creating things. And the editing is very analytical, and your brain kind of gets like tripped up switching between the two. And so doing it too much really slows you down and kind of cuts into your ability to have that creative flow. So I think you're probably going to have a lot of fun. I mean, you are having a lot of fun doing this. Have you been finding yourself slipping into a bit of a flow state while you do that, and just sort of like,
I'm finding the characters growing and doing things that, you know, I didn't plan. I didn't have this idea consciously, but it's just kind of creating as I go, and it's really fun. I actually used to write every single thing I wrote this way. Like until I was maybe 13 or 14, I refused to plot anything out, even like outlines for essays in school. My teachers hated it. I just didn't want to do it. But it always worked really well. And eventually I kind of, you know, my teachers convinced me, okay, you got to kind of plot
academic essays, like I can see the need a little bit more.
I mean, sometimes it's worked for me. I got 100% on my grade 11 written essay. Like,
no planning.
Yeah, no, I showed up late. Like, I didn't reread the book before I showed up late. Totally just, yeah, that's. Yeah.
But yeah, I'll just tell you, because you might find it funny, as one of my clients swears and like just sitting lighting up smokes while we're like working on a story, like swearing the whole time. It's great.
That's kind of really, it works. Like, yeah. That's how Life Online came out. Going right.
Great. Let me see. What else have I got to ask you? Plenty of stuff, I'm sure. I wanted to know how you go about getting your ideas. Like, I mean, you were just talking about how you are working on a new experiment where you're just writing without planning. So I'm assuming that ideas are just coming to you while you're in the flow with that one. But in general, with your other stories and things like that, like, where are you pulling ideas from? Do you base characters off people? Do you have a log? Like, what's your process for that?
So everything is, I guess, in part kind of based on my life, but not based like in the way that everything I've lived through has impacted the person I am, and the person I am impacts the voice in my writing and my perception of the world. So life around me influences it in that way, but I specifically try not to, you know, connect specific people to specific characters too closely, because I don't want to be mimicking real life exactly in the sense that I'm just stealing like my friend's personality. I just want to be creating these people who actually feel real. So, you know, if someone has like a kind of cool trait, like a little habit or something like that, I might take a mental note of it, and it may act as like inspiration for a character later down the road. But I'm pretty open with how I create. My ideas are pretty random.
Yeah. So where did Penn and I'm drawing a blank on the other one's name right now, from Life Online. Alyssa. Yeah. So where did Penn and Alyssa come from? Did you just make them up to fit into the story, or how?
Yes, they weren't personality wise based on my best friend and I, but the connection between them, or the depth of the emotion a little bit, was inspired by the close friendships that I've really had, and just thinking about, you know, the lengths that I would go for someone I really care about. But I wanted to, you know, I don't really have anyone in my life who matches up too well with Penn or Alyssa. I see parts of myself in both of them, but I can see parts of myself in every single character I've written, just because I think it's the nature of the thing, you know, you recognize.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's, I heard somewhere long time ago, I forget where it's from, but I think it's a rather famous quote, and I don't remember the quote exactly, but basically, like, writers are always fracturing themselves to, like, every character has a piece or an aspect, and you're always sort of digging into yourself to find that piece and then portray it through them and build around that. Sometimes I'm not sure that I really agree with the whole philosophy, but I do think that you have an idea of.
I think even if you take it down to the level of, it may not be a trait you have or a piece of yourself, but it may be something you care about or are interested in. Those are still things that I consider deeply connected to myself and thus a part of me. And so if I connect that into my writing at all, it oh God, I can't think of words right now. That's a great look for a writer. Love that.
It's okay. So like that's why I don't do improv, is because like I'm a deer in the headlights. I don't know. I'm like useless in a fight or an argument. Like we'll go out with like friends or something, and something happens or anything. I'm just like, I don't have quick wit. Like give me a piece of paper in an hour and I will respond. Like,
I'm great at text message fights. Like I can destroy someone. But in person, no, I'll pass.
yeah. Exactly. So where's your ideal writing place? Like, so you live in I want to say Alberta.
I do, yes.
Yes, you got it right. All right, where in Alberta if you're comfortable saying, like you in big city or
in the big city? It's a big change for me. I actually grew up in Ontario.
oh.
Yeah, no, I was interested partly when I saw you were from Toronto, because that was my old stomping grounds. Like not exactly Toronto. I was do you know like the Belleville, Peterborough, that area? I was in one of the really tiny towns around there.
What was the name of it?
Madoc. If you Oh, that laugh.
I've been passing through Madoc since I was a baby on the way to my cottage. It's up 62 on the way to Bancroft.
Oh my God, you've probably driven past my house. I lived on 62. Like,
oh, yeah.
Also the old gas station in El Dorado. That was my parents.
What? I drove past there a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I was the baby sitting on that counter in the gas station 20 years
I always wonder about that place, actually. Also, El Dorado is a sweet name. You didn't even live in Madoc. You didn't even bother saying the tiny town name because you didn't think I'd know it. But it turns out I did.
Knows Madoc. No one does.
Yeah, so no one knows El Dorado either, but it's there.
Well, yeah, it's I miss it. God, I do.
That's so funny. Even people that like from Toronto, from Ontario, I'm just like, oh, where's your cottage? I'm like, up by Madoc. They're like, where? I'm like, Belleville. Like,
right. That's usually like as small as I think people may recognize, because it's like Madoc. I think the population last time I checked was 1,200. Like
something like that. Yeah.
I've been to high schools out here with more people than lived in the town.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. And like it's a small place. Like our cottage is 45 minutes away from Madoc, but our neighbors, the cottage, is the guy who owns the hardware store in Madoc. So it's like, and the woman on the other side is like on the town council or whatever and knows everybody, has been there forever. Yeah. So what are the names? The dairies. I don't know. Whatever. You probably don't. When did you move away?
I moved away like 6 years ago, but like my family is based around there. I would probably know a few of the same people. We've probably got a few connections.
That's hilarious.
The hardware store in Madoc, my uncle actually works there, I believe. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we know the same people then. We were on Lake West Limcoon. We actually just sold the cottage.
On what lake, sorry?
West Limcoon.
I think I used to go swimming there as a little kid.
It's the biggest one around. It's a good swimming place.
Yeah. Oh my God. Have you ever been to Wollaston?
No.
Check it out. Coe Hill, just past.
Okay, I've been through Coe Hill. I think I went on a walk there or something. I got a hike.
Trust me, go to Wollaston Lake. It's the best place to go swimming. Sandy, so nice.
I think I did, actually. Not swimming, but I think I went there to go hiking.
Check it out again. Trust me.
Wild. I just assumed you're like a prairie girl and we had nothing in common.
I am as far from it.
You're back.
Yeah, I'm sorry about the connectivity issues.
Not a problem. That happens to me. We actually, I had connectivity issues when I was running my course a couple of weeks ago, and I had to buy like one of those Ethernet cables and like run it through the whole house, plug it into my computer, and then that still didn't work. So I had to use the hotspot from my phone to run the course with like 15 people. And I was like, oh shit. And then the Rogers guy showed up like they're never on time, right? They're always late. He showed up 10 minutes early while I was still running the course. So I'm like, sorry, just wait a minute. Like, sorry, guys. And then he fixed it. And then he fixed it. He said it was my fault. He was like, you didn't plug it in right. I'm like, I plugged them in tonight so many times. But he was like, you're an idiot, and then left. And it was working. And then 10 hours later, it went down again. So I like got back and forth with them. And it turns out that it was like just us. He was like, yeah, I'm seeing some problems. It's only your house. I don't know what's going on. We'll send somebody out to try and fix it.
Oh.
The worst week. But
so absolutely frustrating. I'm sorry. I can't imagine trying to run a course while handling that. How's the course going, by the way? I've been seeing a few things on that, and I'm excited for everyone taking it.
Yeah, well, you get to take it now, if you want, because I don't know. Did you not look at the contest this time?
It's not listed in the June one. It started being listed in July.
Well, that's right. You're right.
Check your contest page. I know.
You're absolutely right. But you are getting it because I'm retroactively giving it to some contest winners. So should you want it, the course isn't for everybody. It's based on some methods that I sort of have and that I advocate and that I have had work for myself and my clients. And so far the students love it. And they're also really loving the like community of motivated people. Motivated writers. And you're welcome to come and try it because as I always say that like writing is a personal journey and you like some advice will be something that you like and some advice won't. And you can just choose like nothing I say is like you should do it this way because,
it's all the growing perspective. Like I took a creative writing course when I was like 13 at Queen's University and I completely disagreed with everything the professor said. I hated it. I thought he was so dumb. But it was a very useful course because I gained some perspective. I got to, talk to some of the other like young students who were writing. So yeah, I'm so down for the course. I'm
great. So you're in it. And the next one is August 22nd to 29th, I think. If you can't make it, you can go to the next one. So it's up to you. You have a free pass.
It'll probably work out for me. Hell yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Great. It's great having these interviews where it's just mostly conversation. I don't even know what I'm going to be cutting out of this and leaving in at this point. Like, do people get to know where my cottage is? I don't know yet. Where your hometown?
You should send me a copy of this, by the way. I'd love to. I'm still working on my website and trying to make that a thing. I'd love to edit and put together a few little clips on there if that'd be all right with you.
Yeah, of course. Definitely. Do you want the raw copy or like the edited?
I wouldn't mind the raw copy if you want to send
any. That's fine. I don't mind. Yeah, sure. No problem.
Like, I won't post any weird private details, don't worry.
I don't care. I wouldn't say them if I was super worried. Anyway, the reason I asked why you were in not why you're in Calgary, although why I'm going to keep getting off topic.
It's a good question. I don't know why I'm here.
Why did you move out there originally?
Because my dad made me.
Yeah.
I was 15. I didn't have a choice.
Well, that'll do it. Yeah. Oh, did you lose me again? Dang it. Yeah. I wonder if it's oh, we'll just wait. We just keep having to. There you go. There you go. It's weird because it's like I'm talking, but it's like you can't hear you. It's like I know, but we still have to try until it comes back. Right? Otherwise, we won't know.
Yeah, I don't want to sit here in silence for an extra 30 seconds.
5 minutes, just like twiddling thumbs. So you moved out there because your parents had to, your dad had to, and you've been stuck there ever since. Have you adjusted to it? Do you enjoy living out there? Or are you trying to get home to the tiny Ontarian town as soon as possible?
I don't really want to go back to Madoc specifically, but I don't want to stay in Calgary. I did move back there for a brief period when I was like 17, I think. But it's a little too, like, there's not too much to do. I'd rather have like a mall at least in the.
Yeah. Oh, and you have that really sweet mall that's like huge with the rides in it, right? Is that
That's
Calgary?
that's Edmonton.
Ah, darn.
I've never been to the West Edmonton Mall.
That's too bad. You're like right there in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I've been to Edmonton, but I didn't go there because I don't do fun things.
Oh, well, writing's fun. You do lots of that. So you got it
That's my
there.
focus. I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to get out into nature. I want to go sit in a forest and write. That's what I used to do. I was like, that's what
Actually,
made doc.
that was actually the question I was very slowly leading up to and just kept going off to the side. Was your ideal writing space? And I mean, both your regular one, like I wanted to know where you wrote, Life Online and the other stories that you submitted, but also where your ideal place is. So obviously you want to go in nature. Now we're talking like, you talking like a picnic bench in the park, or like curled up in the roots of a giant tree,
Yeah,
writing
really
on a
type stuff.
laptop with battery or pen and paper? How do you see that?
If I can get a laptop that'll last long enough, I'm faster typing, so I usually
Yeah.
prefer to do that. But I also have probably 50 notebooks that are, full that I just carry around with me. I almost never am without one. I actually have this that I've been sketching the layout for the Damned on.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I want to sit somewhere in the forest, serene, maybe a nice stream trickling by, just listening to the birds and able to focus. I don't like the noise of cars. I don't like all of that, which I have to deal with that now. I usually write sitting in my bedroom, just on the end of my bed. I have a
Not even
desk.
at a desk.
Oh, I have one. I just don't normally use it. No, I just like sit with my laptop on my lap, like
Perched. Yeah.
over. It's hurting my hands, but it's winning contests. So
Yeah. Win enough contests, you can pay to get them fixed later.
exactly. That's my strategy.
That's awesome. And I mean, it's great that you have, like, you're making do with what you have, and you're right. It's not stifling. You're not feeling like your creativity is stifling. You get again, damn it. Happening more and more frequently.
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing this. I'm so sorry. If I had an Ethernet cable, I would plug it in.
It's
But
okay. It also might be me. I've had this problem once or twice with a client of mine. So, but I don't know.
Guarantee it's mine. My Wi-Fi is usually bad. I don't get why. I'm in the middle of a city.
Yeah.
It should be fine, but it's not.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're not like feeling like your creativity is super stifled by not having your idyllic writing environment, because it would be too easy to sort of make that excuse and then not write, but you're doing it. Did you even though with your previous job and stuff before you found Elegant Literature, started getting published and taking this very seriously, did you find that you were writing all the time? Do you feel like a calling to it, or is it something that you just always wanted to do but never got around to?
Oh, it's something I've been writing, almost daily for most of my life. It's really just the aspect of pushing it out to the world that kind of started with Elegant Literature. I have a decent number of half-finished novels that are from high school era. And I've been wanting to, like, every year I say, this is the year I'm going to get published. This is the year I'm going to get stuff done. And funnily enough, I actually didn't say it at the beginning of this year. I was like, I'm not going to put that pressure on myself this year. I'm just going to be chill and hope it happens.
And it did. Yeah, don't ever jinx things, I guess. And I don't like superstition like that, but it's funny when you hear that things unfold that way.
I'm a weirdly superstitious person sometimes. I'm a big believer in Murphy's Law.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Little things about how the universe works tend to tip off my life, I guess. I don't know.
So I usually ask where you would see yourself maybe a year from now. Like realistically, what's your hope for it, and what do you want to, like, or what are you hoping to achieve over the next year? You mentioned earlier that you want to hopefully get your book written by the end of the year, at least like finish and have it edited. Is that, do you think that you can do that? Is that your goal?
Yeah, my goal, technically speaking, I'm hoping to have a finished and edited version within 3 months for The Damned
Yeah,
because
I
I'm going
thought.
to run this guy. Within a year, I would really love to see a book I've written on shelves. I want to, see a paper copy of a novel. That's something I'm really excited for. And I'm actually probably going to print out a paper copy of Life Online and like the whole magazine when I get a chance and just try and like make an actual paper
I do hope to be getting at least like print on demand copies of the magazine sometime soon. I've got my hands full with a couple projects, but it's on the horizon because I know there's been people started emailing me saying, "Can we get a copy?" All right.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, so I mean, people have been emailing me now, starting to ask like, "Hey, how can I get a physical copy of this magazine?" Especially we've got over 90 writers published, and so it'd be really nice to at least get a copy into their hands. So I have to work out the logistics and all of that stuff, but it's something that's on the horizon. So I mean, you're welcome to go through the trouble of stapling the 90 pages together. Uh, they're not 8 by 11 either. Oh, you've lost me again, haven't you?
I can still hear
Oh,
you.
good. No, you're good. The magazine is not 8 by 11 either. It's a smaller size. So if you print them out, it's gonna be arts and crafts as well as just stapling them together.
Well, I used to be quite an arts and crafts person. Maybe I was the girl in Girl Guides who always put too many eyes on things, even things that weren't supposed to have eyes.
Googly eyes everywhere.
Yeah, I think it's influenced my writing. I think it shows in the type of content I create.
You're just gearing up for your cosmic horror debut novel, just googly eyes on everything.
Oh yeah, that would actually be an interesting cover. Imagine just a cover that's complete googly
It's all
eyes.
googly eyes.
I'm gonna publish a book like that one
The
day.
Eldritch horror. You if you're were you, oh that's what I wanted to ask you. You were talking about how the book you're working on is sort of like a horror comedy drama, something like that, right? Were you inspired by anything for that? Is there inspirations behind it? Is there something similar that if you think the style would kind of be comparable to?
I mean, there might be if I really thought about it, but there wasn't really an inspiration. It was kind of just it's a ridiculous idea that I've been riffing off of, and it's set in a world where humans cannot breathe the air outside,
Okay.
and we have this group of survivors, and they're trying to get through their new adapted reality, and things start going wrong around their building, and they have to figure out what's happening, and I don't want to spoil it because it's ridiculous. Cut it out. But the answer is beavers.
So,
Beavers hold their breath. The water is still fine. The beavers are hiding in the stream nearby, and then they're chewing on the outside of the building and causing air leaks. There's all
okay.
got to work out, but it's a really fun little
Beavers
idea.
and pigeons, dogs. You've got the animal thing going down.
It's a new theme. I'm usually much more writing from like murderers' perspectives or like weird, creepy. I don't even know. I've got a fun story about a fish hook and a tampon that I plan to do something with later in life.
Okay, uh, that's terrifying. Don't tell me. I'll stumble across it naturally if I have such bad luck. Um, in writing, preferably. Uh, so, so in the similar vein, because that's where you want to be sort of a year from now, you're hoping to have something published. And I mean, to be fair, I think that's not a bad goal for sure, especially getting published or in the process of publishing is 100% viable for sort of where you're at right now. But what about 5 years from now? Do you have like an ideal vision of that?
I I try not to fixate too much on like exact ideas because I don't want to like get my hopes up too much and be letting myself down. But really, I hope to build a successful writing career. Eventually, I hope to get my forest writing space. I want to build a little cabin and just move somewhere rural, somewhere nice, still within like access to a city, maybe a little closer than Madoc. But
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be in Alberta outside Calgary because you don't really have forests there unless you go. Well, I guess you could go over to Banff or whatever.
yeah, it's not too great though. I'll probably end up on Vancouver Island.
Yeah,
That's
that's where the magical forests are anyway.
it is. I spent a few years out there when I was like really little, and I miss it. It's good.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think you touched on that before is that you want to be, an author, like right, like that's what you want. If your copywriting career picked up and you got a book like a contract for a few books, would you choose the fiction writing or
Of course.
yeah.
This really what I want is to write stories. I have so many stories I want to share and that interest me and I think will interest other people. And, copywriting, writing nonfiction, those are all things I enjoy and they can be interesting, but they're not such a passion for me in the way that actually world building and character building is. I love being able to create something, totally new.
Yeah.
Like, it's magical, really.
I can understand completely. Well, the good news is you're now, as far as I'm concerned, and I believe several professional governing bodies of literature are concerned, a professional writer, or at the very least, you could apply for membership in the professional organizations and become
Wait,
So this the SFWA is the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America. Their threshold for membership is, I believe, 4 stories, 3 or 4, I forget now, published at a professional rate, which they set. I believe the current one is 8 cents a word. And so I believe that you'd be qualified for that, unless there's a part of the regulation that I'm unaware of, like elegant literature needs to be a year old or something. I'm not sure, but that's why our threshold is set at 4, is because once you hit that and go past it, you're basically you could be considered a professional. You could join a professional organization. It's sort of like a union type thing for writers. And
I didn't know that. So I've definitely got a lot of research to do after.
yeah, you can look into it. The SFWA, HWA is Horror Writers of America, might be of interest to you. And there's other ones like Romance Writers of America. They're all of America. And I guess you just throw a genre in front of WA and you probably have it. They'll all have different regulations. Like I think romance has a different threshold to be professional. But I'm pretty sure science fiction and fantasy is 8 cents a word for stories sold at that, something like that, or whatever. And the benefits of being a membership are varied, and it's not for everybody, and it doesn't, just because you join doesn't, some people say it's professional, some people say you still have to be making a living or like writing to be professional. It's however you want to define it, but that's where we draw our line, is because you now qualify, as far as I know, to be a professional in the professional organization. Hence,
I actually didn't know why you guys had picked like the 4 stories mark. So that's really interesting. That's some cool insight.
Yeah. And I was really thrilled to see your name be uncovered because I judge all the stories blind and then I select the winner. Then I find out who the winner was. And when it revealed your name, I was really excited because I've obviously interacted with you, and this is your 4th time. You're the first elegant literature writer to be published 4 times. The next person, there's a couple people you were at 3, and there's a couple other people I think that are at 3 now. 1 for sure.
Names, and I'm looking forward to reading more from everyone. I'm looking forward to watching the magazine grow so much. I already have some friends who are starting to submit, actually, and I'm hoping to see their names in print soon.
Yeah, I hope so. And now is the best time, because as we grow, the prize will get bigger, but it can only kind of it will only grow in such a ratio. So right now is very good odds for a new writer. For the prize is one of the largest prizes that's open to unpublished writers in the world.
I saw it and I can't really describe the opportunity that elegant literature gives to new writers. Partly just the effect that elegant literature and publication in elegant literature has had on me, and I'm sure has on all these new writers, like the confidence that I got from seeing Life Online win, that's being told, hey, this story is actually it's actually worth being looked at, which is wild. You're really doing something amazing for new writers, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'm definitely doing my best, and based on the feedback people are giving and the praise and the encouragement and people saying like you how rewarding it is to see your work published and to have helped you spur on your career, like to have even a small part in your decision to quit your job and go like head first into writing is partly a big responsibility on my chest, I feel, but also it's what I wanted to do. This is I wanted to help encourage new writers to pursue their dreams and help them succeed as much as possible. And I mean, I think that for sure with you and winning the prize and having been published 4 times and your confidence levels, then I think that that's definitely helping. And there's some other people that have been really, really positively impacted by that. And that's really, that's why I keep doing this. It's why I do it in the first place and why I look forward to continue doing it. Yeah.
I hope to see you running for a long, long time. I think elegant literature is it's really filling a niche that, like I think you say on the website, it's the first contest of its kind for unpublished writers. And it really is amazing to not have to compete with those huge names. I'm about to move into submissions with all the magazines that anyone can submit to.
Yeah.
I'm a little scared because it's
you have to develop your thick skin now that you're going against the big names. And it's certainly more competitive especially because just the way they do it, and
the way elegant literature works, having been told now, okay, I have 4 published stories, it gives me the confidence to face that potential of rejection and say, even if it gets rejected, well, my story still got published before, so they will again.
They will again, for sure.
Here's something that a lot of other writers who have been published in elegant literature are feeling, and it's incredibly beneficial. It's life-changing.
Well, I'm so glad you feel that way. Absolutely. Well, that's pretty much all I have to ask you today. Is there anything that you want to say to other new writers that are looking to submit to elegant literature, or anybody that might be watching this? I know that you still might feel like you're new, but now you've been published 4 times, you've won an award, you could possibly get accepted to a professional organization. So I think if you had some advice to share, some people would like to hear it.
Oh God, that's wild to even think about. But really, for anyone wanting to start a career in writing, just keep writing, just keep on it. You won't improve unless you're doing it, and you can't edit words you don't have written is probably the smartest thing I've ever been told. Just keep writing. You'll get there. And also check out my website, written by Terra.ca.
right here in the corner of the screen.
You can cut that out if you want it. Still,
or we'll put it in. I don't know. It's a chance for you to take up advertising opportunities.
To actually get the website looking a little better. It's still pretty rough.
I understand. Yeah. So that's great. And you're welcome to, obviously you can't submit anymore. By the way, did you submit to
I did not.
Wild Waterways?
I did not actually get an entry in for Wild Waters.
So I don't have to feel bad when I remove it. Yeah, great. And so you're welcome to continue to use our prompts if you like them to write stories and submit them elsewhere. That should go without saying. You can use any prompt you want anywhere. But if you like them, and if you were enjoying writing to them, I always encourage you to, and post them online or whatever. I'll read them.
I shared with my friends, and we have a lot of really interesting discussions about the concepts that we can come up with. So I'm sure I'll still be staying up to date.
Participate. Yeah, encourage them. That's fantastic. Well, great. It was so much fun to have you here and to be able to speak with you today. I've been looking forward to meeting you. because I've been watching. Obviously, I've noticed your name getting published and seeing it come up multiple times. I've enjoyed watching the progression of your author photo becoming becoming more almost more professional from the beginning. I think you're the only one who's like had it kind of every time.
Oh, that makes
And each time it's like a different hair color.
I can't keep it like the same for more than 2 months. I'm just not able to. But yeah, it's been really incredible having this opportunity to be published and to talk about life online and my writing and the process. And I can't tell you how grateful I am.
I'm so glad to hear that. Well, thank you for coming. I hope you have a wonderful day.
You too. Take care. Thank you.
I know.